Advice on girlfriend saying my treatment of her pushed her to cheat, what to do. In the middle of a 6-month relationship. I thought it ended over the weekend, but here we are still trying to make it work. My 22 meters girlfriend 19F and I have been dating for 6 months now. The first 2 went by amazing, we had so much fun with each other. The first big hurdle we faced came 2 months in, when I found out my girlfriend had lied and misrepresented herself at the start of the relationship. I also found out that she had cheated in her past relationship, which was not disclosed to me. After a tumultuous week or so of her crying and begging me to give her one more chance, including her writing up a trust repair timeline and reasons why I should give her a chance, I agreed to move forward. However, she had broken my trust and it would be hard to repair, so I needed more reassurance after this ordeal. She had joked about moving in with me since the start, which I thought was way too early, but a week after this ordeal a big argument with her parents blew up and she called me crying and asked if she could stay with me. I drove out at 1 a.m. to pick up her and her stuff. I wanted to wait a year to move in together, but we agreed this move-in would be temporary while she looked for an apartment of her own. I did not charge her rent and charged a prorate cost for groceries, toiletries, etc., considering I make way more than her and that we agreed to look after each other in this relationship. I did not ask her to clean up after me or do my chores, I only asked her to clean up after herself. We had issues with her actually keeping her stuff clean. I used to be afraid to bring it up to her because she would explode on me. But we moved past that. I thought things were going well, everyone has arguments, but we went on trips together, saw each other's extended families, etc. When she lost her job, I helped her put together her first resume and look for opportunities. We lived together for 4 months, up until this past weekend. She said that her new co-workers have helped her realize that I am narcissistic, abusive, and manipulative. Keep in mind, her co-workers work menial dead-end jobs, are cheaters, had kids as teens, etc. I work at a white-collar job and generally have my acid together for my age. No debt, can save quite a bit for retirement investments, etc. We had a really tough week last week filled with arguments and crying. This was our toughest week yet. We are both at fault for this. She lies and doesn't do her share of cleaning all the time, and I have issues that when we get upset, I say mean things like "this is why everyone leaves you and this is what I don't want" to her. She says that has eroded her confidence, and that I say these mean things often when we argue. I do not dispute this, but do apologize and said I would go to therapy to work on it. She also says that I am controlling, which I can now see in some aspects I was. That was because she had said in August she would do anything to reassure me she was faithful and would be truthful. I was worried about her cheating again after learning she had done so in her past relationship. We agreed that we would sit down Saturday night to have a conversation and get to the bottom of why we argue so much and how to dial back and resolve our differences. We said so many times we would do that, but always forgot to get to it. That's why we set a date for Saturday to do so. We never had the talk Saturday night. I had gone out with friends Friday night, and then did not respond to my GF's texts calls for 1 hour. I told her my plans beforehand, drinking with old college friends, but during this hour I didn't respond, called me around 10 times, texted me my location wondering why I was at a closed bowling alley parking lot. There are apartments right on top of the bowling alley, and told me I better have a good ducking reason or she was going to break up. I then respond after the hour was up when I was heading home and was so confused why she was upset. She thought I was out cheating on her. I told her I wasn't, but she wasn't having any of it and said that I was a hypocrite and it only takes a couple seconds to text me. Is what you were doing more important to me? or should I say who. I found out the next morning that, when she was texting me these messages and calling me, she had unblocked and texted an old number she used to exchange nudes with and told him to hurry up and add her on Snapchat. I do not know what was exchanged on Snapchat, but she maintains that she didn't send pictures, only talked about our relationship. She blocked him on Snapchat, but left him unblocked on text and keep responding the next day after receiving nudes from him. This crossed a line for me. She did not even want to talk about it and just claimed that she was done with my exit and left work to pack her stuff and move out of my apartment. I confront her there to make sure she doesn't destroy my apartment, but she won't stop yelling at me. I tell her I am not speaking to her and to keep packing. She won't stop yelling, so I have to have security caught her out and she got her stuff the next day. I blocked her on all numbers, social medias, and said that my communication for her picking up her stuff would be with her mom's cell phone number. In the time frame between her getting caught out and her picking up her stuff the next day with her parents, 24 hours, she called me probably 50 times from like 10 different numbers, saying that she wouldn't stop making new numbers until I answered. She also created a bunch of new Snapchat accounts to add me, and even stalked my family on social media. She also added my roommate's girlfriend on Facebook after finding her somehow through money transaction apps and told her I was abusive, manipulative, controlling, and narcissistic. She left out her cheating and anything she had done. We agreed to finally talk it over Sunday night because we do care a lot about each other and realize both of us have issues. She actually asked if she could stay one more night with me and I caved in so that we had one last good memory rather than the ordeal from the day before, and to see if things could even still work between us. The conversation Sunday night went surprisingly good, most productive we have ever had. I asked her why I should forgive her for cheating and she essentially says that my treatment of her pushed her to cheat, and that she is trying to forgive me for that. She says that it was wrong for her to do, but that she was so fed up with me. Now she says, if it wasn't for this incident, she wouldn't have been able to talk about all of her issues with me this weekend, and she thinks the cheating events helped it go good because it helped me realize my treatment of her, and that now she needs to see if she can forgive me for my actions. I thought it was potentially salvageable until I hear her essentially blaming her cheating on me. I admit I did not treat her the best, but before she cheated we planned to have this sit down and go to therapy, and she was talking about Christmas plans the morning I found out she cheated. But then I found out. Anyone have input? Story 2. My GF led me to believe I got her pregnant, but I found it wasn't mine after the birth. I've been on Reddit a while and began lurking this sub when I first suspected my GF was cheating. I had hoped I wouldn't be here posting, but here we are. I 28 meters have been with my GF 25F for just about 2 years. The relationship was good and then she tells me she's pregnant. For the most part, I'm careful and she said she was on birth control. I was skeptical but went to an appointment. I then figured it was just one of those things. I always wanted a family, so even though this was not how I wanted to begin, I was overjoyed. We're past the first trimester and I have her move in at her insistence. Insert red flag I missed. We're planning what we will do work-wise and how to set up the baby's room. She is pretty insistent she will go back to work but be able to stay home. She swears she can make it work. I go to every appointment with her. Things are still good. We're in the 3rd trimester and I make my schedule work to still go to every appointment. Up until this point, I had been at each appointment in its entirety. This one appointment, she's asked me to wait so she can talk to the doctor first. I'm super concerned that something is wrong with the baby and she didn't want me to hear. I go in and the checkup is done. Everything looks good. My GF brushes off my concern over why I couldn't be there for all of it. Another red flag. We're about a month and a half from the due date and I notice her being kind of secretive with phone calls and texts. She tells me it's work and it's confidential etc. My antenna is now up so I try to get looks at her phone. She's got Snapchat and Kik. I find it strange but don't confront her. The baby is born and I'm overwhelmed with emotion. The child is perfect and things went fine. Then comes the part where they want me to go on the birth certificate. My GF becomes really insistent about it. She's constantly asking me to do it and seems way more anxious I've ever seen her. Here's the red flag I didn't miss. I don't do it. We have an argument but she stops pushing. I think it's because she knows how suspect it looks already. We're home and she has to go tend to the baby after it woke up. I notice she set her phone down to go to the baby. I couldn't help it and looked. It was still unlocked. I start looking for texts or calls. I then find a whole conversation on Kik with a guy. All the updates of her appointments. Pictures of her and the baby. Then I see it. The place she says she thinks it's his child. I confront her and she apologizes. She admits the baby could be mine or someone else but she thinks it's mine. I demand a paternity test and leave. It's been about a week since the confrontation. The results came in yesterday and the baby isn't mine. She's gone to live with her mother. Here's the best part. It took me a lot of digging seeing as all I had were usernames she talked to him to. The father is her boss. The secrecy was for him. The boss with a wife and 4 kids in middle and high school. I found the wife on Facebook and sent her all I had including texts from my GF saying it's his. I'm heartbroken so many ways. I'm lucky in a lot of ways here but I'm so hurt. This has completely changed my whole outlook. I'm bitter, angry and untrusting. I have no idea how to recover from this. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, damn. I'm sorry. Dodged a huge bullet. That poor wife of the AP. Glad you told her. At least you are not tied to her like the AP's wife is tied to him. Literally no contact with your ex. She is trash of the highest order. Op answer, I did dodge a bullet but it hurts like hell. I'm thankful I could go no contact and not worry about a divorce or anything. I'm glad I waited on proposing even though she was dropping hints all over. Redditor 2, turn them into our department now. Redditor 3, you dumped her and exposed her affair and child to the AP's wife, good job. Now, take your time to grieve your loss, look after yourself and realize that you were fooled by who she lied to you to be and that none of this is your fault. Then take another moment to think how lucky you are to have dodged this bullet. It doesn't feel like it, but you were darned lucky. It could have gone down way worse and cost you years of your life and a child you have already raised. Update, aftermath of me discovering my GF's baby wasn't mine. Here's my original post for backstory here. I've still not spoken to her. I can't bring myself to. I'm conflicted because I still bonded with that baby. Yet I am not the father. That is painful. She still tries to contact me. I don't know if it's love. I won't talk to her. On to the guy who is the father. I told his wife. She didn't respond immediately. I found out through my ex that he lost his job. There's some justice in the world. He won't have anything to do with my ex. He blames her for the mess he's currently in. His wife contacted me over a week later. She apologized for what I went through. She was still in shock, I guess. She kicked him out. I have no idea where he went. Their kids know. Everyone knows. My ex still works there but is in the process to find a new job, seeing as literally everyone knows what happened now. I'm still in shock some and still heartbroken. This holiday will be tough and sad for me. I know there's hope. I know it will get better. This shook me to my core and I don't know how long it'll take. I'm ready to swear off any relationship ever again. Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, stay strong. Focus on the wins that you've had this year, this month, this week. All the love you had for her child, one day apply that to your own kids. Redditor 2, it's not love, it's desperation. I'm very sorry but you have to North Carolina this duplicitous and thoroughly dishonest woman. Redditor 3, assuming she took all her stuff with her when she moved back to her parents' home, there is no good reason to talk to her anymore. You will do yourself a big favor if you work out what is going on in your head with a therapist. In the meantime, you are obviously a great guy. You rescheduled your whole life around your ex's prenatal appointments, you work hard at your job, and you were smart enough to catch that last red flag before you signed any birth certificate. You are also plenty young enough to start all over from scratch, have a long-lasting and satisfying relationship, and even have your own kids. Feel your feelings now, resolve everything as best as you can, and when you're not really looking, something will come your way. Story 3, 10 years and she cheated. I honestly never thought I'd be in this position. I've been numb for the last 18 hours as I try to comprehend what's even happened. My wife and I are coming up on our 5-year anniversary. But we've been together for 10 years. Yesterday my wife pulled me into our bedroom, sat me down and said she had a bomb to drop on me. She confessed to me that over the past few months she recognized that her estimulopathy wasn't what it once was in our marriage. Of course I've recognized this, but any time I've tried to bring it up, it's turned into an argument. So I've given her space and let it be. There's much more to our connection than time, so it wasn't a battle I was willing to fight. I guess that was our mistake to not communicate better. Full disclosure, in the past we opened Pandora's box and discussed the possibility of having a threesome with another girl. It was nothing we ever proactively sought out, but if the opportunity ever presented itself, we discussed what we'd be okay with and what we wouldn't. Well, then she communicated to me that this kind of talk made her feel like she wasn't enough for me. I never wanted her to feel that way, so the threesome door was closed and I told her I was 100% committed to her. Never brought it up again. That was probably about 6-8 months ago. Anyway, yesterday, she went on to explain that deep down she wondered about the possibility of her being gay. And maybe that's why her estimulopathy is L-king. She explained she had never acted on those feelings or really told me about them because she felt like I might leave her if she was gay. I'm not sure how you work through something like that as a married couple. Last night she went out for a girls' night with her normal group of girlfriends for dinner and wine, a normal, regular thing. After that she went to another girl's house, straight, married friend. Well, the married friend had one of her friends over for the night, who happened to be a lesbian. The married friend went to bed for the night, and the lesbian friend began getting handsy with my wife. My wife had been drinking all evening. She gave in. When I asked why, she said it was a combination of her being confused estimally for months and the opportunity presenting itself. And oddly enough, Now I'm the one feeling like I'm not enough for her. What made this worse for me was when she got home in the morning, her and I had time. Little did I know she had just had time with this other female hours earlier. I left the house to cool off and digest all of this before I completely overreacted and did something I'd regret. She has been extremely remorseful, crying profusely, begging me to not divorce her, saying it was a one-time thing and if she's learned anything it's that she's not gay and she wants to be with me. Biggest mistake of her life. She says she'll do whatever it takes, put a tracking device on her and all this other stuff. That's just not the kind of life I want. I want to give her credit for telling me when it happened. But I struggle with that because at the same time, she had time with this random lesbian, went to sleep, came home to me, had time with me, then finally her guilty conscience kicked in. She said she couldn't continue to betray me and she couldn't live a lie. I've been cheated on in the past, not by her. It took me years to get over that and years to open up to my wife who had earned my trust, my love, my everything. I don't want this to be the end for us. But I'd what to do. I've got a list of therapists to call for an appointment to seek professional help. I'm packing a bag and leaving for a couple of days. It absolutely kills me inside when I see how remorseful she is. She literally was having a panic attack as we tried talking this out. I don't want to see her in pain. But it's also not fair because if anyone should be hurting it's me. And I just can't feel a damn thing right now. I've never even posted in a public forum like this before. I can't bear to tell any of my friends or family because I'm embarrassed. For me. For her. For the life we've built. What I expect to gain from putting myself out here like this. I just needed to get it out anonymously. This is all fresh. And I have no idea how to process it or move forward. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, have to point out that the vast majority of stories I have seen on here and from my own personal experience, you probably aren't getting the whole story and this may be part of a much longer affair or series of affairs. Your wife's story reeks of deception, and sounds like you are getting a version that you will swallow easier than the truth. Answer, unfortunately, I have no rebuttal to that. It's either I trust her word, or I don't. And I'm pretty conflicted at the moment as it's all still fresh. Redditor 2, genuinely curious, why would cheating be okay when it's with the same gender? So it's acceptable if she's just figuring out her attraction to women, but not if it's her attraction to older rich guys or hot young dudes. Last I checked, the vows were, forsaking all others. Answer, agreed. I do not see a difference at all and I take cheating for face value. Redditor 3, I'm guessing that she didn't fess up to you out of remorse. She had it in her mind that this was going to get back to you somehow. Her friend either knew or was told by her lesbian friend exactly what went down, no pun intended. In fact, it sounds more like the whole thing was set up to provide your wife with the opportunity to explore her sexuality. Don't get blown away by her demonstration of remorse. It's a skill that all cheaters are gifted with. They are all brilliant at it. Tears, hand-wringing, promises, knees, begging. It's like a mini superpower. They keep this up until they detect a slight chink in your armor. A weakening of your demeanor. Then they start the big switch around to it being partly your fault. You weren't affectionate enough. You made them feel inadequate, yada, yada. Once they've established that it's at least partly your fault, they then go for it being 50-50 and lo and behold, they regain hero status in their own movie. Make no mistake, Her being bi is the new normal which you will be expected to accept. 'Cause you love her, right? Only you can decide but, believe me, you are not going to get the truth from her. Ask her to take a polygraph test, that she didn't know that this was going to happen and she didn't go into eyes wide open. Watch her face closely. It will tell you all you need to know. Good luck.